How do? My name is Andrew Hancock and I am a VMware technical architect from Yorkshire in the United Kingdom. I have worked with VMware since their birth in 1998, so that has been over 24 years I have been working with the VMware product catalogue. Some of my close colleagues say if you cut Andy in half, it reads VMware like a stick of rock from Blackpool. I have now written 134 articles and recorded 30 hours of VMware vSphere videos for Experts Exchange and received 40 Experts Exchange awards over the last 10 years working with the Experts Exchange community. I am currently the overall #1 point earner in the Hall of Fame at Experts Exchange. I am honoured to have been accepted into the VMware vExpert program since 2011 and more recently made a VMware vExpert Pro for the last 3 years. And welcome back to another episode of Hancock's VMware Half Hour, and season greetings to you. And in the build up to Christmas, if you don't celebrate Christmas, then happy holidays. It's 22 days to go. So we're going to crack on with in today's 30 minutes ish. I'm going to show you how to create your first Linux virtual machine on a VMware vSphere Hypervisor 8 ESXi 8 host server. So again, you find me in front of the web interface to our connection to vCenter server in our lab. So I'm going to crack on as I've done previously in the last couple of videos, showing you how to install Windows 11 and Windows Server 2022. So I'm going to right click our EE cluster and I'm going to select new virtual machine. I have actually previously turned off our Windows 11 and Windows Server 2022 machines because I think that our ProLiant microserver Gen 8s are maybe running a little bit out of steam, I think, with that memory. So we'll see how we go. So I'm going to select create new virtual machine. I'm going to create next. I'm going to specify the distribution that I picked is Ubuntu. So let's start with the desktop version. So Ubuntu desktop, followed by next. DRS is not currently enabled within our cluster deliberately. So we have to manually place the VM. So I'm going to select ESXi 002 only because vCenter server is running on the first one and that is using about 14 gig. I'm going to select our data store, which is SSD ESXi 002 _ local _ VMFS 6, and I'm going to use the data store default policy. I'm not going to encrypt the VM. And I'm going to click next. This one I'm going to make ESXi 8 and later. The next one we do, we will use ESXi 702. So I'm going to click next. So I'm going to select Linux, and I'm going to select Ubuntu Linux 64-bit, followed by next. I'm going to beef these up a little bit. I'm going to select 4 vCPU. I'm going to increase the memory to 8 gig, and I'm going to change the hard disk size to 80 gig, followed by next. So I'm just going to quickly look at the summary. There's one thing I need to do, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to also add the data store ISO at the same time. And of course these were uploaded in an earlier part where we so I'm going to click our live server CD ISO, to which of course we checked the MD5 signature is correct, so there's no corruption there, so that should boot with no issue. So I'm going to click connect power on, I'm going to click next, and I'm going to click finish. And already I've noticed, of course, that I called this Ubuntu Desktop and I've selected the server CD. So I'm just going to go back to the data store ISO and I'm going to select the ISO again, and I'm going to select the right ISO this time. So 2204 desktop, and I'm going to click power on. And after I click power on, then I'm going to click launch web console, and already you can see that we've got the try or install Ubuntu, so I'm going to select that option and I'm going to let it continue. And if you're familiar with any installation that you do physically, then it's going to be exactly the same. There is no difference to a physical installation of Ubuntu to a virtual machine installation of Ubuntu. So I'm just sort of kind of wondering whether or not how long this is actually going to take. This is a little bit slower than I expected. Okay, I'll speed this up in post. I'll just disappear. Okay, and I'm back. Okay, so we've got the familiar install Ubuntu welcome screen. This is 2204, and 2204 does seem a little bit more sluggish than the previous installers. So I'm going to click install, and I'm going to select our English UK keyboard layout followed by continue. I'm going to do a normal installation. I'm going to download updates while installing Ubuntu, and I'm going to click continue. Silence is golden. Anyway, as usual, I have got my Experts Exchange First Tech Community mug. I'm just going to take a swig of an espresso, double espresso, so you know, definitely cut me in half and I'll bleed caffeine. Not only have I got me me espresso on the go, then I've also got my Pepsi Max on the go as well. Not that I get sponsored by Pepsi, and not that I have any political allegiance to any of those particular parties either. So I'm going to erase the disk, and I'm going to install Ubuntu. I like to use LVMs personally. I think that if you're using LVMs, and we'll do a video on this in the future, if you're using LVMs, I actually think that they're much easier to expand than if you don't use an LVM. So I'm going to use an LVM for this Ubuntu installation. I'm not going to encrypt. I'm not going to use ZFS, although I am a big fan of ZFS, but maybe that's something for the future. Okay, so I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to click install now. Okay, I'm going to have a little look at the partition that it wants to create, and I'm going to click continue. I'm happy with that. My time location is London. If yours isn't London, I'm sure it won't be, then select where your time zone is in the world, followed by continue, and basically give yourself a, you know, if you want an account in your name, then specify, you know, your name. Specify a virtual machine name, the guest OS name. Then now, of course, this doesn't match the inventory name, so it makes sense to sort of kind of make them the same, but I'm just going to say EE Ubuntu desktop. I'm going to pick a username, so I'm going to use a username. I'm going to set a password. I don't want to log in automatically, and I don't want to use Active Directory. I'm going to click continue. Active Directory, obviously a Microsoft function. Okay, and it's going to start copying the files, and I can expand there, and I can have a little look at what's actually going on. So there's not really anything more for me to say, other than people have actually asked where I got this hat from, and to be honest with you, I don't really know. All I know is in the past, in one of the VMware parties that I attended at Christmas. They were handing out VMware hats, and we were all sat around a Christmas table eating our food with VMware hats on. But that was sometime in the past. So it's something that I was actually basically given, and every Christmas it comes out the Christmas box with all the trimmings, and I generally wear it, promoting VMware. Anyway, so I'm going to disappear. I'm going to finish off my Pepsi Max. I'm going to finish off my coffee, and we'll come back. I'll speed all this up in post, and we'll come back when this ready for me to restart it and to log in. So I'll come back shortly. Okay, so we're back. I think an Ubuntu 2204 desktop, I think is definitely taking longer than Windows 11. Ubuntu gets larger. Okay, so installation is complete. You need to restart the computer, so I'm going to click restart. And I'll speed all that up in post by the magic of Blackmagic Designs DaVinci Resolve Studio. So I'll click restart. Well, I was actually sitting here watching it, it definitely has got longer, so maybe packages are getting bigger. Okay, so please remove the installation media, so enter. So that really is a prompt really for me to not leave ISOs connected to VMs. It has actually been disconnected, but I'm just going to set client device anyway, followed by OK. I'm going to go back to my desktop and I'm going to hit enter, and that's actually going to force a restart. So that has actually restarted, so I'm going to click Ubuntu, and that's actually going to start to boot, and hopefully, all fingers crossed, we'll get a lovely desktop, and I can log in. Now, the keen-eyed amongst you, but you probably will not be able to see this when I speed all this up in post, but you know, very cleverly, I mentioned this in the last couple of videos about the VMX net interface driver not be included or baked into the ISO. However, it does actually appear that it is now baked into the ISO in Windows Server 2022 from March 22 this year. If you have a little look at my fellow colleague, Colin Westwater, fellow vExpert Pro in Scotland there, Bonnie, Scotland, who's actually basically written an article about the inclusion of the VMFX Net3 driver in the Windows Server 2022, but not currently in 2016 or 2019 unless you actually basically do some sort of adding VMware drivers to the boot media. But anyway, what I wanted to show you is that if you actually look here, that the adapter type that's included in the Ubuntu template, still trying to find a word for what the specification is, but anyway, you will notice that it does actually say VMFX Net 3 is included in the template, and in the OS there is the driver baked into the media, but also not only that, and I'm just going to log into our desktop, not only that, Ubuntu is almost sort of kind of shall I say self-aware, VM aware. It knows it's a virtual machine. You might have spotted that when I was actually basically typing in my name, and it then created the default name that it wanted to give the machine was Andrew Hancock's virtual machine. So it knows it's a virtual machine, and therefore, because it knows it's a virtual machine, it has what it calls open VMware tools already included. So here you can see VM tools is running, and it says it's guest managed, so it's installed by the guest. It's not VMware tools that's provided by VMware. It's VMware tools that's actually provided by the Ubuntu distribution. So we've got a DNS name of Ubuntu and an IP address there in the machine, and we've not installed that. It's done that itself, and as I say, in the actual installation, whilst it was installing, I could see that it actually basically pulled down the open VMware tools. So I'm going to click enter to log in and show you the desktop, and I'm not going to register with that at the moment. I'm just going to run terminal again, you know, command prompt person. So we're in the Ubuntu desktop home folder, home ADAPH. One of the things I like to do is just to quickly check networking, so we can ping Google's server. But the other thing that I like to do very quickly is I like to just, it's habit really more than anything, the first thing I do is to actually update the virtual machine, excuse me, update the virtual machine. Need a Pepsi Max just to clear the throat. So I'm using sudo to basically elevate my permissions. So sudo space apt-get update will go off and get the or update the cache, on the desktop machine. So there we go. You can see it's actually going off to all the repositories online. Jammy is the code name for this version of Ubuntu. So it's obviously gone and fetched 3 meg in 2 seconds. It's updated the cache. Now you can use the software updater GUI. I'm just a little bit old-fashioned. I like doing stuff via the command prompt, but there's no reason why that you can't actually basically use this, and it's actually showing you there all the updates that it will apply. And I can just do it this way. So I can basically just do upgrade, and it's actually going to prompt me and say yes. So it's going to download 25 meg of updates and apply them, and you just let it go. And there we go. It's clearly happily downloading all those updates live from the internet, pulling them all down onto the desktop and patching as we go. If you've got many desktops or many servers and you've got Ubuntu, you can use a package library called Ansible, and you can actually basically do management of your Ubuntu estate or any Linux estate using Ansible to run an update script to update all your servers or all your desktops simultaneously, rather than actually basically going to each individual one. Or you can enable you know, the update schedule there to update automatically like you would in Windows. But you may want to actually basically have a little look at the updates that are actually coming down first before you apply them to your estate. That's entirely up to you. So I'm just going to disappear, speed this up in post as usual, so I don't have to continue waffling on to you. Okay, so that's done. There's just one other thing that I like to do. I like to use the command ifconfig. Now, ifconfig is an old command to have a little look at your interfaces. and it's no longer actually shipped out, probably deprecated, I would think, or depreciated these days, but you can actually basically install it by just doing a sudo space apt space install -net tools. It's just a habit again of using older commands. So there you go, you can actually basically see that ENS33 in fact actually is specific of a VMX net3 driver. So 192.168.182.123, which is the same IP address which is reported there. So just to actually basically check that we've not broken any of, I'm just going to basically restart after I've basically just patched it, and that's it. Our Ubuntu desktop has been installed. So again, thanks very much for watching. We'll speed up that installation in post so you don't have to sit there for 20 minutes watching an Ubuntu desktop installation. But that's how we install Ubuntu desktop on VMware vSphere Hypervisor 8, and you can follow that procedure for any version of Ubuntu or any version of Linux. So I'm just going to click done. So thanks so much for watching. Come back for the next video when we're just going to quickly do an Ubuntu server installation as well. So thank you very much and goodbye.